Let's take a look at this problem. It's going to be a combination of the product rule and the chain rule. Certainly it's a product, right? We have this factor multiplied by this factor. So we're going to need to use product rule. But when we come to do the derivatives of each of these factors, we're going to need to use chain rule. So let's begin. The product rule says I do the derivative of the first factor times this one left alone plus this factor left alone times the derivative of this factor. So what is the derivative of this first factor? Well, to do that, we need to use chain rule. The 5 is going to come to the front. The 3x squared minus 4, in other words, the stuff in the brackets is just kind of ignored, and it becomes a power of 4. And then afterwards, I multiply by the derivative of what I ignored. What is the derivative of this? Well, it's easy. It's just 6x. So let me just make that a little bit more tidy. I've just done the derivative of the first factor here. So the product rule says then I just multiply by the derivative of this left alone. So I just multiply by this factor left alone. Plus this left alone times the derivative of this. Well, it's the same. To do this is pretty much the same. We use chain rule again. The 4 comes to the front. This is ignored to the power of 3. And then we multiply by the derivative of what we ignored. 6x plus 1 is put in here. And the derivative of 6x plus 1 is just 6. So we're actually done the derivative. Very easy. But now we could leave it like that, but usually we want to factor this. It actually can be factored pretty nicely. Notice we have two terms here, okay? We have this plus this. That's the way to look at it. And in the first term here, let's say we notice that we have something in common there. We have 3x squared minus 4 in both of them. We can pull that to the front. Now the issue is, what power do we use? Well, this is power of 4 and this is power of 5. The rule is we always want to take the lowest power. So we're going to pull out a power of 4 here. And let's use some square brackets just to make it clear what follows. So what's left over in this first term? Well, the 5 is still there. 3x squared minus 4 to the 4 has been pulled out to the front, so this is gone. The 6x is still there. This 6x plus 1 to the 4 is still there. Plus. Now, this has power of 5 here, but we've pulled out 4 of them. So the power of 1 is all that's left over. I won't bother writing the 1. And we have the 4 sitting there still, and same with the 6x plus 1 cubed times 6. Okay. Now, we can do pretty much the same thing, but now we'll take a look at these two factors here, the 6x plus 1s. What is the lowest power that appears? Well, we have power of 4 here, power of 3 there. We want to take out the lowest power, so we're going to select this one and pull it to the front. This factor is still there, of course. So 6x plus 1 to the power of 3. The 5 and the 6x are still there. Why don't I just quickly multiply those out? That's 30x. Now 6x plus 1 to the 4 was here before, but I've pulled out 3 copies of it, so there's only 1 left over. And what about over here? Well, 3x squared minus 4 is still there. And you know this 6x plus 1 cubed, I've pulled that to the front, so it's gone. So all I have left here is 4 times 6, which is 24. And now things are getting pretty close to being done. Let's multiply out what's inside those square brackets. Why don't I just go back to a normal bracket? 30 times 6 is 180 x squared. 30x times 1 is just 30x. 3 times 24 is 72 x squared. 4 times 24 is minus 96. And let's see what those brackets, we can do a little bit of simplifying in those brackets. 180 plus 72, that's 252. 30x is just there, and 96 is still there. We could notice though that we could go a little bit further, because these three numbers, 252, 30, and 96, they do have a common factor. If you think about it, it's 6. So let's pull out a 6 to the very front from those three numbers. And I think then we'll be at our final answer. So what's 252 divided by 6? It's 42. 30 divided by 6 is 5. 96 divided by 6 is 16. And that's our final answer. So here we had a chain rule. Well, at the outermost level, it's a product rule because it is a product of two things. But when we come to use the product rule, and we actually have to use chain rule within the product rule. And then we got the derivative pretty quickly. We did it in one step here. But then the factoring is where maybe the challenging part laid. Just remember that when you see something common like these two in the two terms, remember terms are what's separated by plus sign or minus signs. We want to pull the one to the front that has the lowest power. So then when we actually did that twice, first for the 6x plus 1s, and then, well, first for the 3x squared minus 4, and then for the 6x plus 1s. And then usually what you have left in brackets here simplifies pretty nicely. All right, that's how you do this one.